to divide by two-digit numbers using one of the three strategies: equations, rectangular arrays, or area models, and provide an exact number with remainders.
So our standard is for 5th grade, and it's that you will find whole number quotients of whole numbers with up to 4-digit dividends and 2-digit divisors using strategies based on place value, the properties of operations, and/or the relationship between multiplication and division. Illustrate and explain the calculation by using equations, rectangular arrays, and/or area models. So for this unit, they've already been working with multi-digit division, but it's essentially been limited to estimation up until this point.
Good afternoon, class. So today we're going to continue working with multi-digit numbers. So exciting. We love multi-digit numbers. But we're not going to be estimating anymore. We're looking for the exact answer. So keep that in mind when you're solving your problems, okay? So our problem that we're going to start off today with is a very fun one. So actually, our school has won a fun field trip to the Nashville Zoo. Yay! Our class, so all of us are responsible for organizing the trip. And we have to figure out how many buses we have to rent for the whole school. We have 325 students in our school, and only 23 students can ride the bus. No more. How many buses do we have to rent so we can make sure everyone is able to go to the zoo? If you look on your tables, you also have a handout of the question too, to help you remember it, and it is written on the board too.
So before we go into our small groups talking about this, I just want to have the whole group discuss and brainstorm a few strategies that we can use. So first of all, reading the question, or do you guys need more time to read the question, or did everyone get the question? Yes? Okay, so what operation do you think we need to use to figure out how many buses we have to use so that all students can go to the trip, to the zoo? What operation do you think we can use? Yes, Madeline?
Division.
Division, how did you know that?
Because we have one big number, we use a smaller number to break it up into groups.
Does anyone have anything to add? Yes, Emma?
I was thinking we could use multiplication and subtraction.
Oh, how so?
Well, I was thinking we could multiply 23 by something until it's a little less than or a little more than 325. And then we should probably think of it a little less than, and then subtract that, and then we can see how many more groups of 23 we have.
Okay, that's one strategy that we can use. And also, Madeline said that we can use division to use this problem. So we're not going to go about and talk about what strategies we can use to solve this problem. So we're just going to go and brainstorm. So you guys can just raise your hands and talk about what strategies you guys think we can use to solve this problem. She mentioned multiplication and subtraction. Anyone else? Different strategies that we can use? Yes?
I think maybe addition, where we just add 23 a bunch of times until we get close to 325.
That's strategy. Yes, Emma?
Yeah, I agree with Nicole because you gave us the buses already. So if I just write 23 in each bus, then I can count how many buses I have at the end.
Okay. Any other strategies that we can use?
There's a lot of other tools that are on your table, so maybe you can look at those and think of if you can use those to solve this problem as well.
So I think we've already brainstormed a few ideas of how to tackle this problem. So now we gave you a worksheet and different manipulators you can use to solve the problem. So if you can work with your shoulder partner to solve this problem, we'll be coming around and talking about. So.
You can even have for 4.
Is it 30? Yeah, 30.
It'll work. Yeah, just hard. Oh, what's going to be hard?
You can do that.
These
We're gonna have less people. I really don't know. Okay, well, how many times is 20?
Can you guys tell me what you're thinking?
I don't know.
Do y'all need more blocks? You need more?
Well, because I was moving 23 to 20. You have 4 to work with. And I was trying to
Also, you guys don't have to use the bus pictures if you don't want to. That's just an extra tool for you.
Okay, I'm gonna. Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, I think
What are you thinking about? I was trying to. I know. Okay. I know 32. I figured 32 would be an easy number to work with. So then I decided I would also use only 20, and then I would figure it out. So where are you thinking you're gonna put those the other 3 and the other 5? So we can either take a third of a bus or I don't know what I did. The answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
It's 14.
But 15 because you need the extra bus.
Yeah.
Because 3 students can't just not go. Well, maybe if there's 3 students that are sick or something. And then you would need
Because this is 15, and all of these added together is 345, so I subtracted 120 to get 23, and then I just kept adding.
Then I knew if I added another 23 to 322, it would be too many. So I know that I still have 3 students left, so I'm going to have to put them in a bus alone, which is sad.
So how many buses do we have to rent?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
That's our problem.
I did something kind of different. She's no longer here. I'm sorry, it's so ugly. Oh, is this good? Is it more? 23 students, and I know that 23 I thought you made progress. What's that? Oh, so you estimate. We're trying to and we didn't know what to do after. Yeah, well, after we got our answer, how do we get that? What it would be? Again.
I did my own strategy. I broke it into 320 and 5, but then I realized that I couldn't do anything with 20 and 6, so I divided by 2 so I put them back together. And I knew that 23 is what I'm dividing by, so I knew that that was 1, 3, and then I had 2 left over, so I just left those alone for right now. And then I took my 300, and I know that 23 times 10 is 230, so I took 230 out, and I used my 10, and then I subtracted, and I got 70 left over buses, and I figured out that 23 times 2 was 46, so there's 2, and I took out 46, and I had 24, what is this 23, so I took out 1 more, and 1 left over, and so I added my 2 and my 1, and I got a 3, what are the possible ways that and I counted my total, and I got 14, figured out, and I realized that my 3 was the remainder, because it's harder
It's like our 13 plus extra 26 people, but only 22 go on one bus. So,
No.
but we wanted to do
All the students have to go.
what a waste of resources. So then we said, so there's the 13 here, and then there's the 1 more bus for the 23 of them, and 1 more bus for the 3. So that's 15.
So you need 15 buses total.
Like the other one now, I had 30 utensils.
Right.
And then I was like, oh,
I think of a more efficient way to solve this problem.
trying to beat my approximate. So, I probably could have not subtracted this because that was a bit easy. I feel like honestly what would have been smart is being like, I know 20. I am smart. No, I mean, I felt that 23
They were both from this and that.
Class. Yes. Okay, so before we start asking students to come up and share their strategies, I want to address something that wasn't really addressed. I want to make this really clear. So when I asked like what operation we needed to use to solve this problem, I heard someone say division, I heard someone say multiplication and addition. I just wanted to make this super clear. So Madeline said division, and she mentioned us having the whole group and us having part of the group. So we have one part, we have the number of items in each group, and we have the number of groups. So we're trying to find another part, and that's why we use division. But multiplication and addition is one strategy to help us solve this division problem.
We have the number of items. Yeah, we have the number of items and we're trying to find the number of groups.
Yes, but we have one part, and we're trying to solve the other part.
We have two parts.
Okay, wait, we have the
Okay, go over this again. We have the number of items, which is 325 students. We have the number of items in each group, which is 23, and so we're trying to find the number of groups, aka the number of buses that we are going to be needing for a trip.
Yes.
Okay, so as we were walking around, we saw lots of great strategies, lots of different strategies, which is awesome because there's many different ways to solve this problem. So we're going to call up some students to help us think through this problem and show their strategy. So Casey, why don't you go up and show your strategy?
So I used repeated addition, and at first I thought that I was just going to be able to do it in my head horizontally, and then it got a little bit trickier, so I moved on to my graph paper. So I just started with 23, and then I added 23 and got 46, another 23, got 69, kept going, then this is actually transferred down to here, and I kept going, and then the numbers along the side are how many times I've added 23. So I got down to 13, and that gets me 345. If I were to do 14, I would have 368, which is over 325. Just kidding, also so is 345. But everyone needs to fit on to the bus. So you have to have.
Okay, so why did you just change your answer?
Because I stopped at 368, but I should have stopped at 345.
Okay, did anyone do a similar strategy to what Casey did? Emma? Yeah?
I did a similar thing, but I got a different answer.
Okay, what did you get?
I got 15 buses.
Okay, do you want to walk us through what you did differently?
So I did pretty much the same thing.
Just kidding.
I added the 23 in my head.
You had it in your head, okay?
I added the 23 in my head instead of writing it out, and I did the same thing as Casey where I went through each bus. And then I got to 14 buses, which was 322 students, and I knew I had 3 students left over that I needed an extra bus for, so that it would be 15 buses.
Okay, so you think, why could you not only do 14 buses?
Because then there would be 3 students that have to walk.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Casey, did Emma help you understand?
Yes, thank you, Emma.
I don't understand the strategy.
What do you not understand about it?
I can't see it.
Okay, Emma, can you come up and show us? Okay, can you walk us through? Yeah, just point out.
So I did the same thing as Casey, I just didn't write it all out like she did. So I did 23 plus 23 is 46, plus 23 is 69, plus 23 is 92. And I did that all the way up until I got to 322. And then I knew that 322 plus 23 was going to be way more than 325.
So I stopped there and I knew that I was gonna have 3 students left and they needed to go on a bus somewhere. So then I had an extra bus, but this bus only has 3 students. And then I went back through and I counted up all the buses that I had, which was 15.
Does that make more sense to you now that you can visualize it?
I think so.
You think so?
I also got 15.
I thought that every bus was going to have 23, but some of them have 46 and some have 69. And why do they have different numbers?
Okay, so do you want to explain why they have different numbers?
So I added, so there's 23 within each, but it's the total. So it's 23, there's 23 in each bus, but this is the total number of students that I've already accounted for.
So she was just writing down those numbers to help her keep track until she got to the 325 total students. Does that make more sense to you now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Emily.
Natalie and Justin, can you go up and do a strategy?
I literally just yeah, let Michelle be coming, guys.
Okay, so what Madeline and I did was we started with 325, and then we wanted to decompose it because it was a little too big, so we separated it into 325. And then we rounded the 23 to 25 because it was easier to work with and divide by. And so then we split up the 300 into 3 100s and then each 100 into 4 25s. And so we knew that there were 4 25s in each of these 100s and then 125 in this one. So that gave us 13 groups of 25. And then because we rounded to 25, we knew that we had 2 groups of 13 that were extra. So then it was 26. And so that gave us another group of 23. So we added that to the 13 to get 14 groups. And then there was a remainder of 3, which means that we would have to go up to 15 buses.
Yes.
I'm confused about the 13 groups part.
Yeah, so basically we wanted to see how many groups of 25 could fit into 325. And so because we decomposed this number into like 300, which then we decomposed to 100, that's 4 groups of 25. So then there's 4 here, and then 4 25s in this 100, and 4 in this 100. And then there's 1 group of 25 right here. So then we just added 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 13 groups of 25.
That was a great demonstration of your thinking. Thank you. Can I have Karima go up and share yours? Can you go up and share your strategy, please?
So we did a similar thing that Destiny did, me and Ruby did. We thought 23 looked a lot like 25, so we made it 25. And then we knew, it's just hard to see in general, but we knew that there were 4 25s and 100, so we tried to make 325, so we did 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 1, 100. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4 is 1 100, and then we have like 3 of those to make 300, and then 1 more dot for 25. But then we're like, Miss Ellie told us that we couldn't have 25 in each bus, we needed 23. So we decided to like remove 2 people from each bus, and we put, so there was 13 of those, so we made the same groups but of 2. And then we added those up and we realized we had 26. And that was more than 23, so we needed one more group of 23 for one more bus, and then one more bus for the 3 leftover students.
So is your final answer
13 plus 2, 15.
15 what, students or buses or what?
Buses.
Buses. So I noticed that she used estimation as a strategy to springboard off and like go further and use the strategy and put it into context of the problem. Did anyone see anything similar or do anything similar to Ruby's and Karima's strategy that they want to share?
I think it's gonna.
Oh, we're gonna cut.
Yeah, kind of here. Now, if you, for the sake of time, if you would have had one more strategy shared, how would you have concluded your lesson demo?
So the next one was going to be Jess, because hers was only meant to strategy that was closer to a bit closer to standard because it has, yeah, I can't describe this, but so then we would have related back to how these different segments relate to each other. For example, if you look at Casey and Emma's strategy, they were very similar. They just had set it up in different ways. That she used the graphic brain, where Emma used the actual term that we've given them, and then how Destiny and Karima both ended up using rounding to a certain extent, but then they both had to because they did rounding, they didn't have to do these extra steps to get back to the actual answer. And then how just and her answer that she had was 14 remainder 3, and that was just her final answer. She didn't say 15 buses, so we were going to say, hey, so we noticed that Jessica got a different answer. Why did she get a different answer? Did she get 5 different ways?
So essentially, you were trying to make sure that you were trying to couple ones that kind of looked really similar, like the ones that bumped 23 up to 25, and then compensated.
And then also just making sure that they understand that because it's not just we're not solely focusing on a different problem, but it has a context and a story, that we need to understand that even though the answer is 14 remainder 8, 14 remainder 3, that the actual number of buses needs to be 15 to accommodate for the extra students.
Also, when we were pointing out the connections, we were going to kind of make it more discussion based, so having students trying to we were going to prompt them though in a way to be what do you see, what similarities do you see? So it was more the students leading it versus us just talking.
Anything that you would have done differently?
So when I was addressing the whole sentence stem, I was kind of thrown off because I thought it would be part whole, but it was written in the context of the problem, so it was whole part, so I kind of messed that up. But I feel just using the sentence stem and addressing it and making sure that I use the specific and accurate academic language when I'm addressing that problem.
I think also when Casey was up here and she got the wrong answer, not making her feel she just went back to her seat. Yeah. Having her kind of working with her instead of because she felt bad about getting it wrong, but she shouldn't feel bad about getting it wrong. Walking her through with that, through that and everything instead of just moving on to another strategy.
And one thing I will add is in the spirit of that, right? Even just having 2 students up at the same time, so that way that emotion of Casey walking back and doing a walk of shame, right? Because oh, I got the wrong answer kind of a thing. But you can actually have both students up there, right? To be able to kind of look across both strategies, right? So that way it's not positioned oh, she didn't get the right one, but both of them are thinking through some of it. So that way you don't have to wait till the very end to be able to look across both of them. You could have done that in that moment. Does that make sense?
I think we could have, especially because we were having them work with their shoulder partners, that was something that we really could have done better. Actually, had the partners come up together.
Yeah,
just calling on one person.
Yeah.
So Shelby would have been there for emotional support.
Let's open it up to folks in terms of comments. Nicole?
I think, yeah, Ellie, flubbed a little bit, but then Hannah did a really good job of re-clarifying it and then contextualizing it, so that was really good and great group work. And then also how you started to try and tie back to what the kids do know and what they've been doing. We had to cut you off, but I like that you said you made the connection to estimation and tried to have us make that connection and talk about it. Yeah, that was a good thing to start you making.
the parent. I think that made it really like clear like how to make connections between them.
And it seems that that was going to be your next step, right? To look across areas that could potentially have been done different and things to think about for the future for the group.
Maybe more explicitly, we didn't really do this either, but talking about ways that it connects back to the standard algorithm, like in the invented strategies that people use, or like how the concepts relate back to the concepts of the standard algorithm.
Because we were like leading the algorithm, I think, towards like the end. I think that's why like, we couldn't get to like that part of it where we were going to connect it back, but like.
This is more of like, I guess, a logistical thing, but I was kind of just wondering if there's, because I think the question and like the prompt is really great and I think it's super engaging, but I'm wondering if there's a way that instead of like putting all of the words on the board, you can kind of have like, you know, the first couple sentences is like, that's what I'm going to say as the teacher, and then just having like the explicit problem with the numbers under it, just so it's like, not too much.
Jess?
I think that like the strategy, that the estimation strategies, at least I find really confusing, like as an adult. So I think it might have been beneficial to kind of reiterate what Destiny said, because I had it explained to me like 4 times and I'm still not 100% sure how that works. But I think it connects directly with what your students would have just been doing. So I think spending a little bit more time making that connection might have been beneficial.
I already said some pieces, so Laura, do you have other ideas for the group?
Sadly, I don't. I feel like it's not fair that I've said something for everyone else, but I don't have. If I think of something, I'll email you.
And major kudos to Laura, who's our videographer, for all of this, to be able to get some feedback. The only one, so I already kind of shared some pieces. I thought that in terms of the organization of the written record, it's really strong. I think Karima echoed some of that in terms of how you've organized it. And I also want to echo a little bit of what Amanda shared related to how you posed the problem. What was really fantastic was the question that you said of what do you think of an operation we should use, because it really opened up the floor for everybody to start to think through some of that. One thing I would be mindful of is we started to rear into operation versus strategy, right? Like of how we actually would use the operations to solve it as a strategy, right? So be mindful about that distinction as you're asking folks to share. And one piece that I was thinking about is in that same time, unpacking that problem, because I think it's really language heavy, right? So I think Ellie might have asked a question, I think she was attending to that when you had said, is the question or is this problem clear to everybody? You might even just say like, can someone explain what's happening in this problem? So that way you have the students being able to share, like we're going to the zoo, we've got buses, we're trying to figure out how many we need. And it allows the student to express it in their own words. But overall, excellent job. Yeah. All right, have a great weekend.